race and job combos still to this day are debated pretty heavily. Final Fantasy XI essentially gave you three choices before starting: race, job, and starting city. While race and job combos still to this day are debated pretty heavily, is there an objectively best starting city? So as a forever Windurstian, obviously it is the best answer. We can end the video right there. Windurst wins. But let's try to look at this from a couple of sides. I will try to be as unbiased as possible, but let's be fair, it's gonna be impossible. I can't do it. I can't do it. We'll look at general size, organizational layout, area, music, the aesthetic, surrounding starting zones, nearby dungeons, available and notorious monsters. That's a big part of your early game experience. And then finally, just some like random points we can throw in. But seriously, this one's going to be pretty low-key. Frankly, it's going to be as ridiculous as the 5 worst jobs of Final Fantasy XI video was, which you guys love to debate and joke about. Because frankly, let's face it, any city that gets you into Vana'diel is the best city. Wherever you started, that was your unique experience. There's no wrong answer. But we're going to give you one. Seriously, let's have some fun. Do not destroy me in the comments, please. Let's start with size. Unless any city offers unique utilities or features that others don't, and frankly, if they do, I'm probably forgetting them, so let me know. I'm going to, in general, consider size to be a negative. While grander space is overall more aesthetically pleasing in most cases and generally gives the city a sense of grandeur, unless you're filling that space with something useful, it just means it's going to take more time to get around. And in the world of Vana'diel, playing Final Fantasy XI, more time spent getting around is usually a negative. This puts Windurst in a distant third, because although it is beautiful, it literally has an extra zone. It's 4, plus 1 for Heaven's Tower if you count that. And the others are all like 3. It's also in general just very sprawling. I mean, Windurst Walls alone is like massively large. And even with the teleports from waters to woods and port to walls, it's just huge. It's huge. Bastok and Sandoria are pretty close, but I think I'm going to give Bastok second and Sandoria first. They're both pretty massive, but Sandoria's laid out a little bit more smartly, if that makes sense. North and South Sandoria have that nice center connection point. The chateau's right there. It's only Port Sandoria that's kind of off in the middle of nowhere. Bastok is all over the place. Bastok, what are you doing? Port Bastok is this huge ranging thing, and there's no real connection back down to Bastok Mines that would give it this nice circular loop. Unless you count like the Moghouse teleports, but I don't think those count. And also the Port Bastok bridge situation with the airship leaving and coming is enough to make it lose this altogether. If anybody's ever gotten caught halfway across the bridge when an airship comes in, you understand my frustration. I think you can use that little boat to get across now, but that doesn't really count. Too little too late, Square Enix. Too little too late. Leading us to area, music, and general aesthetic. Of course, this is also your entry into Vana'diel. This is the first place that you see in this game. Is it enough to keep you invested? Is the first place that you enter into Final Fantasy XI gonna grab you and keep you invested? Of course it is, yes. But I mean, if your experience was anything like mine, it might be a couple hours before you even think of leaving the city gates. So is that city enough to keep you playing? And this is entirely subjective. This is gonna be the most subjective out of all the things that we talk about today, which is pretty much an entirely subjective list as it is. But let's go for it. They're all brimming with fantasy in their own distinct charm. Sandoria's classic kind of medieval vibes, but with those blaring regal bagpipes, which is a little different than maybe you were used to hearing. Bastok is this bustling industrial city in a harsh landscape. I wouldn't call it necessarily aesthetically pleasing. It's a lot of browns and dust, but it does give me incredible fantasy vibes for sure. Seeing all the steampunk machinery surrounded by magic is pretty fantastic and very Final Fantasy. Windurst wins for me because it's exactly what I love. Lush greenery, open waters, the Vana'diel equivalent of palm trees, magic in every corner because the Tartars have just invested Windurst with magic at its very core. And if you ask me personally, I think it is the best starting music. It's so light and cheerful, it just sounds like it's perfect for starting an adventure. I think Sandoria hits it a little too hard, and Bastok's pretty good. Bastok's pretty good. But officially, this one should probably just be a tie, so you guys don't burn this channel to the ground. I mean, it is truly a subjective answer, but in my personal opinion, first goes to Windurst, Bastok coming in second, and Sandoria a distant third. I know you Sandorians are going to hate me for that, but I've always said I can't stand that Sandorian music. It's too intense. It's too intense for your first moments of Vanadil. We're not in a parade. What are you doing? But let's chat about this one next stream. Bring your thoughts. I want to talk about it because this will be a fun back and forth. And if you didn't realize it, we go live every Tuesday and Thursday on 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. Come hang out. Bring your questions. Bring your thoughts. Bring your bashes. We'll hash it out. I love talking about this stuff. But eventually do have to leave the gates. So who's got the best starting zone? Okay, first off, all 3 zones have amazing starting music. All 3 are gentle entries into the world of Vanadil, begging you to explore further, venture deeper into the dangerous wilds that await you. Bastok is an easy third here, though. Don't get me wrong, I love Gusterberg. It always makes me feel like summer has come, I'm leveling some crappy new job, who knows. But man, that cliff in North Gusterberg is super annoying. On top of that, Dangrove Wadi and Palborough Mines are both like an eternity away. It's just kind of annoying to get to them. They're so far apart. Windurst and Sandy, on the other hand, are almost even, but I think I'll give the edge to Sandoria here for convenience. They both have a great vertical layout with the 2 zones that make up just having multiple entry points to get back and forth from each to the other. But Sandy has way more convenient access directly to Gelsby Outpost, which is like right there. I think Windy edges out Sandoria in terms of mob type and variety, though. Crawlers are a great early moneymaker, as can be birds. And goblins, I guess, depending on what you go for. Beetles and rabbits suck. Nobody enters into the world of Vanadil and they're like, you know what I wish I could find right now? A giant beetle and a couple rabbits and beat the crap out of them. In Windurst, you're like, you avoid the rabbits because they're shit. In Sandy, you're like, oh, rabbit, guess it's my only choice. Get it together, Sandy. Nah, I'm being a little harsh, but I do love the variety of mobs that Windurst comes with, versus Sandoria's kind of blander approach to fantasy. Close one here, but I'm going to give the edge to Windy. This is totally unbiased opinion. Bringing us though to nearby dungeons. Each city has a couple dungeons and beastman zones nearby. Portoto Ruins and Gideus for Windurst, King Rapper's Tomb and Gelsby Outpost for Sandoria, and Dangrove Wadi and Palborough Mines for Bastok. Windurst, I think, loses here. Gideus is great and has a great variety of notorious monsters, but as much as I love the Portoto Ruins, there really isn't all that much to get excited about early on. Visually, it's very cool, and there's a couple NMs that are kind of interesting, but most of the cooler spots are blocked off until you're a bit stronger. They come into play much later, and there's this weird staggering. It's not very even in terms of how far you can go at each tier of strength that you obtain. Bastok, I'm going to give second, and let me know if you're a Bastok native and you totally disagree, but I think Dangrove Wadi kind of sucks. I don't know how else to say it. It's a cool spot. The steaming, gaseous fumes are pretty sweet to look at, but I never feel like it's a zone that really delivers. Like, what do you do there? There's a couple quests that take you out there, but you go in and you leave. I don't know, occasionally I'm farming for, like, the Airmite Springs, I guess. Palborough Mines can be an interesting moneymaker opportunity, especially for the early players, but other than that, I mean, if you're not into mining or the few notorious monsters that are here, I've just always kind of hated the zone. Sandy wins here, though, on pure variety and size. I mean, Gelsby Outpost grows with you as a player, getting deeper and more complex, and what turns into, like, I think it's like 4 total zones. It just keeps getting bigger. Opportunities for farming, mining, harvesting, notorious monsters. All of it just keeps escalating the stronger you get, keeping you coming back to this area if you're a Sandoria native. King Rapper's 2 is kind of similar, like some amazing non-notorious monsters that have drops like the Aesthetics Rings early on, then Martial Slacks, the Traveler's Mantle. I mean, these are really good drops and huge moneymakers that you can just kind of get off of regular mobs. If one were so inclined, they could make quite a lucrative business off of little else. But speaking of moneymakers, I'd be remiss to ignore one of the most valuable sources of gear and income in Final Fantasy XI, Notorious Monster. This is kind of a tough one for me. Sandy gets third here. Hear me out, because outside of the Priest's Robe, I don't remember anything truly mind-blowing dropping in Sandoria's starting region. Most of the drops that are amazing from Sandy, as we just said, don't technically come from NMs, which isn't really a bad thing per se, but it does hurt its NM score. Of course, I'm sure you're already thinking, there is the Rabbit's Charm, but that's kind of a 1 in a million drop, and the pop rate's really bad too. I kind of find it hard to justify it as like a real selling point for Sandoria. Yeah, if you get it, you're set for a while, but come on. Leave in the comments if you fought the Rabbit Charm NM. I think I fought him once. And if you got the drop. I did not. And let me know if you remember Sandy differently, though. I didn't spend as much time in these zones on my side because I thought I wasn't really hunting that much. But if I'm forgetting something, tell me. Winders has a wide variety of notorious monsters, providing some of the best wands, capes, and staves for early mages, bards, and beastmen. Plus those lovely little fruit punches that you get like level 1. Those things are awesome. And then once you get up a little higher and get into Gideous, it branches out to like some really great gear for thieves and rangers. But I think I have to give it second for not really offering a true rags to riches drop. The monster sting is probably your best bet, and I mean it was really solid, don't get me wrong. It's not like infinite belt. And it should come as no surprise as to why Bastok wins this one, because after a litany of decent drops for melee, the Beast Stinger, the Optical Earring, a great Samurai, great Katana, like level 10, I think there's many more, there's basically the best early drop for melee in the game. The damn Leaping Boots from Leaping Lizzie himself. These are valuable from 1 to 75. All the way through, you can see people wearing these boots, and it's for this reason alone that Bastok wins. These are always valuable for you as a player, for you as a moneymaker. They're awesome. Screw you, Leaping Lizzie, I hate you. Let's throw in some final random points. Just hitting them out there. You can throw them back if you don't like them. Bastok has their mines right in the town. Easy to get to Altepa someday if you throw into that. That's pretty cool. Not bad. Winders gets you the 3 mage key for getting into Taramarok Canal through the Winders missions. This is really solid. It doesn't come up often, but when it does, you're like, I can get in all by my lonesome. It's like the most unique door in the game. It's almost never used. So glad that this there though. It's really cool. Sandori gets the Oubliette, the deep underground sewer, which is kind of cool, but you don't get to use it for like forever, and then once you can, nobody wants to go down there anyway. They also do have access to Rangamon Pass though, which everyone will eventually need to take. That's kind of handy. I don't know. It's not very exciting. Man, I'm clearly so biased against Sandori. It's not even funny. So who wins this overall, unbiased, completely justified, very scientific method of what the best starting zone is? Winders had 2 third places, 1 second place, and 2 firsts. Bastok had 1 third, 3 second place, and 1 first. And Sandoria also had 2 third places, 1 second, and 2 firsts. Which, I don't know what that means. I don't know how you compare the value of second and third. I didn't like a point value. This is why I don't have votes or contests, because I have no idea how to run them. But at a glance, Windy and Sandy both have great highs and lows, whereas Bastok is probably the most consistently solid for a variety of reasons. And this was also, as I've said many times, super subjective and stupid. Plus, I included the aesthetics in my list, which I said I wouldn't at the beginning. I said I wasn't going to include that. If we take that one out, I think Sandy wins, because Windy goes down to 1 less first, and Sandy only loses a third. So it ends up being Windhurst has 2 third places, 1 second, 1 first. Bastok has 1 third, 2 seconds, 1 first. But Sandoria goes up to 1 third, 2 second, and 2 first. I think that means that Sandoria wins if I take out the aesthetically pleasing nature of point number 2. Whatever, guys. This was dumb. Let me know if you enjoyed this and you want to see more videos like this. Let me know if you hated it and you thought it was the dumbest video I've ever done. I appreciate both thoughts. Otherwise, Viva la Winders, and I'll see you guys all next one. Peace. Why is everything on fire? Why is everything on fire? All the services are on fire. Everything is on fire.
You set the oil on fire, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And Hayden happened to be.
Oh, Deathloaf, don't tell us what to do.
He's okay.
We'll figure it out. It might take us a while.
I'm still on fire. Bro, look, hang on. We
Hey y'all!
What we now call people, whose numbers have been growing at a section. They're like, this era of the franchise can definitely be attributed to Rare's acquisition by Microsoft, so all Nintendo knew how to do was to contract companies to make spin-offs for them, until they eventually found a new home for the mainline series with Retro Studios in 2010 with Donkey Kong Country Returns. But before that, we got one last whimper from this era of spin-offs in 2007. Why don't you ever hear anybody talk about this game? Because everybody who's played it is too busy f***ing their wife.
Is this reception fair, or did a bunch of game reviewers trip and fall?
You know, I have heard some people say this game is unfairly hated. I've also heard voices in my head. So who knows, maybe this was just a misunderstanding. She may have killed my brother, but maybe he was lying. This was set to be the 5th game compatible with the DK bongos. 6 if they had courage. But hey, this looked like another interesting and creative use of the accessory. The one problem, I demand phallic jokes! E3 2006 was definitely a passing of the torch between the GameCube and Wii. Nintendo was preparing for its next console after the last one sort of flopped, though not without a few last releases for that struggling GameCube. Nintendo wasn't gonna end their system without a bang. 2006 gave us Chibi Robo, Odama, Baten Kaido's Origins, and the death of Gerald Ford. DK Bongo Blast quickly moved over to Wii as well. The change was announced roughly 3 months after it debuted as a GameCube exclusive, because the Wii lineup without it just made no damn sense. By spring of 2007, it was confirmed to only be releasing on Wii, renamed to Donkey Kong Jet Race in Europe, and over here, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast. Oh, excuse me, Europe. Barrel Blast. And 2007 was a monumental year, one of the biggest years ever for gaming and DVDs. Something had to give. You couldn't experience everything, so when Barrel Blast launched, many players had to choose between maintaining abstinence and playing Barrel Blast. Those poor bastards never looked back. I've only played this game for a bit. That's basically just grazing a crotch. With great power comes great virginity. I will restore chastity to this world. I can beat Barrel Blast without having sex!
Impractical.
The door wasn't locked.
My sirens are going off. Goes off whenever somebody's trying to
Sure that wasn't an air monitor?
As sure as I am cordial. Anybody trying to lose their virginity?
I've loosened my virginity.
You know what that thing's capable of? It's a ticking time bomb of testosterone!
Hey, I'm taking precautions.
As somebody who's not a fan of sex, let alone your I have an obligation to society to prevent you from mating, okay? This thing ruined my family, and it gave us more of them.
And I appreciate that, but the only way we can live in a sex-free community is by beating this game to break the curse. And I could use your help.
Normally I'd crash and bitch about the thought of doing anything in relation to that game, but I'm a pretty open-minded kind of guy, okay? And I'd do anything to unban the act of no sex in society. I'm in. So the only way to stop f***ing is to start f***ing?
Yep, and we're about to film our first sex tape. On the right-hand side, we can check out Cranky's Flight School, records, options, and Candy's challenges.
This is gonna pose a problem.
Every Kong has to have a rival, and because of that, half of these Kremlings were created just for Barrel Blast. Yeah, there's only like a handful of Kremlings that are legitimate characters, so Fan had to go out of their way to craft Kludge. Yep, that is not organic. Come on, you had loads of Kremlings to choose from. We live in a world where Klubba exists, and you're just not gonna take advantage of that? I mean, it's kind of a cute idea to build your character roster out of the concept of heroes versus villains, but I think they finalized that idea before going. So in comes the Kremlings. We got Critter with Kip and Cass as newcomers. Who are Kip and Cass? Well, Diddy and Dixie Kong's rivals, of course. Thank you, Dad. I'll pick Donkey Kong because I need a character flaw. Rookie difficulty, Topaz Cup, and DK Bongos because this game supports them and I'm not narcoleptic. But running into other players, enemies, or barrels laid across the track while one is still in effect continues the wild move for longer, so if you string together enough combos, I mean, do I have to spell it out for you? What, the blue shell? It targets the player in first place and explodes on impact. Quox? It flies to first place and takes 10 bananas from the player while pecking at him. Watch out, motherfuckers, I have Quox!
Whoa! You scared me there.
Stop sucking this game's c***.
I wouldn't if it had one.
Well, this is a racing game, so it all comes down to the course design. 16 tracks included across 6 cups. A great deal, I say as I'm paying for college.
Hey, let me watch my apes in peace.
You're a sick wench!
Oh, come on, you're just being a fucking loser.
Oh, I haven't lost anything.
Guys, it's really hard to stay abstinent with all this shouting.
Here, mark him with this so I can always tell which one of us is a fucking creep!
What does the A stand for?
You're a fucking creep!
Get the mainstays, Lanky Kong, Funky Kong, Tiny Kong, Clutch, Copter. Were you expecting a crocodile with an afro? Good. The rest of the characters you unlock via candies, challenges, an excuse to ogle a monkey. Just go to the zoo! There are so many other characters from Donkey Kong that could have and should have made it in before Clutch. I believe in what I believe. So damn many of these are on the exact same course, and the challenges themselves? Collect 200 bananas. Collect 700 bananas. Collect 200 bananas. All run by a monkey that I don't know what Nintendo wants me to think of. Like, Jesus, Candy, just wear a name tag. But hidden behind the final challenge is one last unlockable character. On DK Jungle, goddammit.
I thought you were a virgin!
Yeah, you're getting like a pro.
I mean, my father, there's nothing else to do. What, does Cranky's Flight School count? Say it does. I dare you. The visuals? I'm sure they aren't groundbreaking, but it runs fine and looks better than most Wii games that were on the market. Acting like it looks worse than a GameCube game? Like, have you seen worse than a GameCube game? That's just a dog's ass. It didn't have online multiplayer. Sure, that's ridiculous in the context of the value of the package in comparison to other racing games at the time, but is that really a problem when you don't like the game to begin with? This game has horrible controls, bland track design, and worst of all, I can't play it for hours on end with my buds.
You did it.
Oh, in a day's work. You know, I thought Barrel Blast was gonna be horrible. No, it was just bad.
I remember my first time.
Wasn't this your first time?
Yeah, I remember it.
I beat the game, but the curse hasn't lifted. People are still f***ing. If people weren't still f***ing, Rex would be senator.
Oh, looks like you still have one challenge left.
Wait, what? No. It doesn't matter. Barrel Blast is always going to exist no matter what, and as long as it's not forced upon anybody, who cares? You shouldn't judge people who play it or not. Playing it doesn't make you disgusting, or not playing it doesn't make you a loser. We're all adults here and on different paths of life. Maybe you've already played Barrel Blast, or maybe you haven't. But it doesn't make you a better or worse person because of it.
You know what? My uncle was a big fan of Barrel Blast. I kept hearing all these stories about people telling me, oh, he's so cool just because of it. Like, he was getting hyped up so much, he could finish the game in 14 seconds flat.
My grandpa could do it in 10.
But my aunt, she only played Barrel Blast the one time.
My cousin could play it twice.
Well, everybody thought less of her because of it. And I've distanced myself from that entire side of the family. I shouldn't have. I let my own personal way of life cloud my judgment of others. I get that I may be against everything this game stands for, but that doesn't mean other people should be chastised for doing what they love. Jeb, you're not a f***ing creep. You're a f***ing friend.
You know what? It was wrong of me to think so lowly of you because you didn't enjoy the game. I mean, I personally love Barrel Blast, but that doesn't mean you have to.
Even if I beat Barrel Blast, curse or no curse, it's not going to make people stop doing what they want to do. As long as they're not hurting others or themselves,